Okay, live from Annapolis, it's the Environment and Transportation Committee. I'm your friendly chairman, Kumar Barve. I may or may not be joined at this moment by the friendly and overworked vice chairman, Dana Stein, who just had a tremendous victory for the committee in the passage of Climate Solutions Now. And so, okay, here's the order of bills, unless the senator shows up to disrupt it. First, Senate Bill 46, Senator Mcrae. Then Senate Bills 384 and 744, Shelley Heddleman. Senate Bill 599, Guy Gazzoni, who's going to be represented here by the always awesome Deanna Peel. And then finally, Senate Bill 630, Senator Hester. So let's just go straight to our friend and refugee of the Environment and Transportation Committee, Corey Mcrae, for a sponsor-only bill. Corey, welcome back to your old home.
Mr. Chair, just glad to be back in ENT, where I got all my learning lessons. Let me be very, very clear.
Even the bad ones, right?
But Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, I'm here today in reference to Senate Bill 46. Senate Bill 46 is a 2-year product. I couldn't get it out the Senate the first year, but I've got it to a posture where it's agreeable to the advocates. The agency moves in the right direction. That was back in 2016-17, Mr. Chair. We had it to where the local jurisdictions had to approve of any type of project that was coming out of DHCD. We got rid of that because of some racial implications or just implications of different biases. The challenge is that it decreased the level of transparency, and we had adverse effects from that. Mr. Chair, whenever a project would go up before the Board of Public Works, sometimes it was the first time that I was hearing about these projects. When that happens, we don't get to flush out conversations in our jurisdictions about schools, how will young people be impacted, food insecurity, how will that be impacted, or a variation of different issues that we would normally have with developers that do development in our respective committees. Because this bill is already worked out, Mr. Chair, I'm only going to take that minute, but I will hopefully you all, with seeing no opposition to this bill, will pass Senate Bill 46, and it was unanimous through the Senate.
Okay, it's sponsor only, and I don't see any questions. So, Corey, I think you are going to emerge unscathed.
Appreciate you all. You all have a blessed day, and thank you again, Mr. Chair.
You too, Corey. Always great to see you. Always great. Yes, okay, so let's now go to their two bills that are sponsored by Senator Shelley Heddleman, 384 and 744. Senator Heddleman, always great to see you. It's a sponsor-only public hearing, and you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Great to be back in ENT. Great to see my delegate as Mr. Vice Chair Stein, and great to see my former House colleagues. For the record, I'm Shelley Heddleman, District 11, and I'm here today to present Senate Bill 384, which is a cross-file of one of the bills of your very own House Bill 674, introduced by Delegate Stewart. What this bill does is it requires judges to pause eviction proceedings when a tenant provides evidence that a request for rental assistance is pending. As we all know and have heard from many of our constituents, thousands of renters have struggled paying rent, and as they have faced illness, lost their jobs, had decreased hours, et cetera. And the federal government, fortunately, came to our assistance and provided the state with over $700 million worth of rental assistance for folks who have experienced COVID, who are faced with those challenges. It's taken a long time for our local jurisdictions to get those programs. They've done so in 24 different ways. They're doing a yeoman's job, but it's taken a while. And there are still landlords that are filing petitions for evictions. What this does is it tells to judges that they should pause for 35 days so that those applications can make their way through the system. It doesn't relieve anybody of having to pay rent. People are still on the hook for having to pay rent, but it just gives them a little bit of pause. This was a bill that came out of the JPR unanimously, and then it did not come out of the floor of the Senate unanimously, but it did come overwhelmingly. So just to be clear, we amended the bill so that the tenant has to have applied for rental assistance before or within 30 days after they received a written complaint from the landlord. And it allows the court to assess whether it's a good faith application. And if judgment hasn't been entered, then they stay until the resolution of the tenant's application. And you get one bite at the apple. There's a sunset on the bill through 2025, because we expect that is the end of when the federal assistance will be available. And the stay ordered under the section may not exceed 35 days. So I'm happy to answer any questions if the committee has any, but that is the bill.
Okay, it is sponsor only, and it's got all the usual witnesses in favor, and you do have Bill Festelli with the Realtors Opposed and the Maryland Judiciary, which I think might have been the case with the House bill also. So any case, any questions for Senator Hellman? Jay Jacobs has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator, do you know how many tenants have been evicted while waiting on rental assistance?
I don't know how many have been evicted by waiting. I do know how many have been evicted, and it's been in the 500 to 700 a month that have been filed. I don't know how many exactly have been evicted, but I do have some stories I can share with you of people who have been. And it is still a problem. Some places, some judges are waiting, but we've also heard from judges that some judges have said, I can't put a pause. So this addresses those issues too.
Okay, before I recognize Delegate Wyville, Trish, could you make me a co-host so I can put people's hands down when
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. Delegate Wyville.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, my question, so this just says rental assistance. Are you only referring to the federal monies that are flowing down through the state as a result of COVID?
No, it's any kind of rental assistance. But the
So
reality is most of what is coming into our local jurisdictions now is from the federal money, but there's certainly some state money that would be included in there as well.
So are you referring to Section 8 housing vouchers as well then, or what?
This is just meant to be rental assistance. So I don't know if that technically would be considered rental assistance. I don't think so.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out. It seems like a broad term. So you said it's more than just the federal money. So what else would it include?
Well, there's state money that goes to rental assistance as well.
So you're talking like the money that flows to like the community action councils and stuff?
Well, we have a rental assistance program through DHCD.
Okay. At the state level.
Correct.
All right. All right. Thank you.
I also, sorry, I want to get back to Delegate Jacobs' question.
Okay,
There have been 4,000 families evicted in the last 6 months. So I was right. It was roughly about 700 a month.
okay. Delegate Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator, for joining us this afternoon. Could you talk a little bit about how you think the bill could help with the administration of the program, given the cap that the Senate put on amending the House below some of the jurisdiction and coming out? Could you just about how
you are really breaking up on us, Vaughn. Would you try and start that question over again?
Sure. What about now, Mr. Chairman?
Better.
Okay. Senator Hellman, I was just asking if you think this bill would have any effects on the administration of the program in the various jurisdictions.
Absolutely. So right now, many of our jurisdictions are, first of all, let me say that our programs are still run by pen and paper, and that makes it really difficult to track this. So I know, for example, in Baltimore County, every week or so, they go to the court and they find out who's getting a warrant of, who's going to be evicted, and they push those folks to the top of the list. They prioritize those people so that they can get rental assistance out the door to them. In Anne Arundel County, they have a jerry-rigged system where their local housing department is literally talking to the sheriff and going through their Excel spreadsheet every week to determine who is kind of next on the list. I have been told by the local housing folks that is just not sustainable. And this would enable them a little bit of pause, a little bit of grace in order to be able to coordinate better with all of the different moving pieces that are in this process. And so it gives people a little bit of breathing space while still getting the landlords the assistance they need because the money's there. And so we don't want to penalize people and put them out on the street when we know that the resources are available to be able to help them directly.
Great,
Okay.
thank you.
Next question goes to Mary Lehman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senator Hedelman, for this important bill. So a lot has changed, I think it looks like, in looking at the original version of your bill. But the effective date, so it's emergency legislation, correct? So
Correct.
as soon as it passes, it would take effect like day one. How did you come up, or how did anybody come up with that sunset, if that's still the case, of September? I think it's 2025, is that right?
Right. So this was a product of negotiation. And the 2025 is when the emergency rental assistance program from the federal government is supposed to be spent. So that's how we came up with that date.
Okay, that makes sense. I just was curious about that. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any further questions on this bill for the sponsor? Okay, seeing none, let me put your hand down. That ends the public hearing on Senate Bill 384. Let's go to Senate Bill 744. Again, Senator Hedelman, and again, sponsor only.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I am happy to be here to present Senate Bill 744. You heard this bill. It is the cross file of House Bill 927, which was sponsored by Delegate Julie Polakovich-Carr. It came out of the House and Senate in slightly different versions, but we feel like they are absolutely complementary and we could work out the differences. The goal of Senate Bill 744 is to increase the amount of land that is available for affordable housing in Maryland. And what we do is we take a look at what kind of excess property might be available through the clearinghouse process. And we have the Maryland Department of Planning and the Department of Housing and Community Development look at that land and decide whether it is appropriate for the development of affordable housing. It does not override any sort of local zoning. They work with the Department of Planning and the local state agency that no longer has use for that property. And they determine, and they of course make sure that it doesn't run into any environmental problems, that there are no historical trust, issues, and that it has the appropriate ingress and egress. And they make it available to nonprofit or for-profit developers for affordable housing. Other states have similar programs, and they have found that it has worked. We know that DHCD did a big study and determined that we have about 100,000 low-income households that are going to need affordable housing. We have a need for about 85,000 rental units right now, and that is only growing. So this is just one piece of the puzzle. We know that building supplies prices are going up, land is certainly going up, but land is an essential piece of this puzzle. And we think that this is kind of taking some property that may not be appropriate for other uses and making it available to the developers who either through the low-income housing tax credit or other programs could develop it into affordable housing. It's a creative way of addressing an issue. So just, I'm happy to answer any questions. We had some tweaks to the bill in the Senate, making sure that it could also be used for a lease. Sometimes local governments and developers do that. And then just tightening up some other provisions of the bill and reporting requirements. I am happy to answer other questions. One big piece that you will see is that it is also the repository of $30 million for the rental housing fund. The chairman of the Budget and Tax Committee used this as a vehicle for some funding that was in the budget. In order for it to go into the rental housing fund, it has to have a bill, and he used this bill to do that. So I'm happy to answer any questions if the committee has any.
Yeah, it seems that we have a question from Delegate Ruth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Senator, for this bill. Affordable housing is such an important issue. As I recall, we had some amendments on the House version. Are those amendments also on the Senate version?
They are not. We were going through it at about exactly the same time. And so you guys were amending, we were amending, but I've gone through the bill with the House sponsor, and we weren't amending the same parts of the bill. So I think that we'll be able to merge very, in a complementary way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Okay, seeing none, that ends the public hearing on Senate Bill 744. Thank you very much, Senator Hedelman.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, have a nice afternoon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, next let's go to Senate Bill 599. My good friend Deanna Peel is here to present. Deanna.
Okay, Chair Barve and Vice Chair Stein and members of the committee. I'm Deanna Peel, and I'm here on behalf of Senator Gazzoni to present Senate Bill 599, Vehicle Laws, Driver's License, Driver Skills Examinations. The bill authorizes the MVA to establish a pilot program in Howard and Montgomery counties to allow private driving schools to administer driving tests, as Pennsylvania and Washington, D.C. have already done. This would enhance the availability and convenience of driving tests. But for more description and any questions, I'm going to defer to Mr. Francis Chip Sheehan and Mr. Jason Fittishan, co-owners of Street Smarts of Maryland Driving School, who brought this idea to the attention of Senator Gazzoni. And we do ask for a favorable report on Senate Bill 599.
All right, Deanna. Yeah, this is a full hearing because we haven't had a House cross file. So let me just turn to Francis Chip Sheehan. Chip, welcome to the committee. You have 2 minutes, sir. And please unmute yourself.
Thank you very much. My name is Francis Sheehan. I go by Chip Sheehan. I am the president of Street Smarts of Maryland. The background for this bill is to give Howard County a testing area and to alleviate any type of backlog that might be with the MVA for testing. Other states have run this program quite successfully, and it's not you have to do it through this third-party testing. It's a elective, no different than the tag and title that's currently allowed in Maryland, or also the CDL that's also on private lands. And the CDL is also taught in colleges in Maryland. Motorcycles is also done with third-party testing within the state. And that's an instructor that I am with the United States Secret Service. I'm able to have our agents and officers go through the program, and the state of Maryland has certified our program. I just think it's a very good asset, especially with the time that some parents have to spend at the MVA to get their licenses and move forward with their new drivers.
Okay, thank you very much. Also before us is Jason Fittishan. I hope I got your name correct, Jason. Welcome to the committee. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you guys for hearing it. So I'm also one of the owners of Street Smarts of Maryland. I also own John's Driving School in Pennsylvania. We started with a pilot program about 8 years ago in Pennsylvania doing third-party testing. Like my partner said, it's an option, it's convenience. The rules are the exact same. It just allows for people that are busier now to get scheduled a lot quicker and cut down on the time they have to wait. As you guys know, there's places in counties in Maryland that don't have testing facilities, and this just allows more options to the citizens of Maryland to get it done. It's been successful in PA. There is many states switching over to it. It's just everybody's going through manpower shortages now, and it's helping out across the board.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have a number of questions. The first question will go to Delegate Sheila Ruth.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So I guess my first question is if you have a letter, if the delegations are supporting this bill, the 2 counties that this is.
We actually do not. It was amended from being a program to be a pilot program for those counties.
Okay, thank you. And is there a cost for people to take the driving test through private parties? I mean, would there be a cost in other states, I guess, that are doing this? And I guess my question is, how does that compare to taking the test through the MVA?
I'm going to
Well,
let
currently-
the other guys, Chip, do that. Okay.
Currently, there is projected to be a cost. We haven't, settled on a cost by any means. It's going to be a convenience fee because we'd have to have employees. Currently, the state, because when you sign up for your permit, that test is then included with your state test, if that makes any sense. So when you pay your fee for your permit.
So if someone were to take the tests through these private companies, they would pay the same fee for the license itself or for the permit, and then in addition to that, pay the class on top of that. I mean, the course fees on top of that.
Correct. Just like there is for tag and title. It's a convenience fee for having, a brick and mortar.
Okay. I guess I'm sure you saw that AFSCME opposes this. And
I did not.
yeah, so I mean, I guess they opposed the Senate. I don't know if they still oppose as it's come over, if any of that's been addressed, do you know?
Well, they're not signed up as a witness for or against the bill.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking at the testimony. They had unfavorable testimony in the written testimony list.
In the Senate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
what's up with that? Are they okay?
We just realized, we just got that information yesterday, so we do need to talk to them about it. This is supposed to be something, though, that is solving a problem that having weekends and evenings and things like that is a different time that usually folks that work for the government are not doing those hours. But yeah, this is something we are looking into.
Oh, yeah. Actually, no, I do see it. It's listed as ENT, not JPR. So I
Right.
guess it is.
Yeah, we just found out about it yesterday. So
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Delegate Lyman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So is it fair to characterize this as a privatization bill? That's what it seems like to me.
I wouldn't
It's
think so. but
privatization of MBA, essentially.
Well, I'm speaking somewhat on behalf of the senator, but I'll let these guys talk as well. Because it is not something that takes that away. It's something that's in addition to allowing the MVA to do it.
But fair enough if you want to split hairs, but respectfully, it is privatizing a function of a state agency that does not charge anything except for the permit. If you take the test and you don't pass it, you don't pay again. So, and if you could expound on, what problem is this solving? I was just asked that question when I testified in the Senate last week. What problem are you solving? Is the claim that things are so slow now at MVA that we need this competing private company to give tests?
I guess the parallel would be the tag and title services that are allowed. People don't like to go into the MVA, and for the county that I reside in, Howard County does not have a testing facility at all. And that would be an easy way to remedy that without having to either build or enlarge the current MVA that is in Howard County.
The other part is if somebody, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not aware of the licensing, or I'm sorry, the other system you're talking about that's done via third parties. But we're talking about driver's tests, correct? Not regular road tests, not CDL or special licenses. Is that what you're after here?
When you say regular, yeah, the
Regular,
Class C, which is driver's
right.
license, correct?
Right. And how many other states do this besides Pennsylvania?
Approximately 15 to 20. Even more moving on to the CDL side. The feds approved it. It's causing, people that fail a test are having to wait 6 to 8 weeks to get another appointment.
Yeah, that is, I'm sorry, but I disagree. I have 3 young drivers in my family, and one of my sons got, just in the last year and a half, got another test during COVID within a week to 10 days. And kids, they all talk to each other. They know how to find, where there's an opening, and it's not in 6 to 8 weeks. I disagree. If you're not gonna be able to quantify a problem and you're not presenting any statistics, if you want to come back with hard numbers, that would be a different conversation, but you're not presenting, in my view, meaningful statistics. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I respond to that just a little bit? I mean, the
Of
one
course.
thing, people do have to take off work in order to go to do it. This would allow them to do it on the weekends and not have to take off work. So the charge may actually be less than the money they would lose from not being able to work a day when they have to take their kids in. And also, you were talking about, they know how to go around and find. It's like, well, maybe you have a child that has a parent that can take off a day of work and go to Frederick one day and go to Gaithersburg another day. Whereas if you've got a parent who's in Howard County who can't take off that time and can't travel that far, I mean, it does sometimes take longer if you're going back to the same place. And while I don't have the hard numbers, I did have kids, and I do remember that, yeah, they were shopping around for different places, but it's not always available for children and parents to shop around to different places and take off whatever time they can for that.
Okay, let's go to Delegate Jacobs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm from the Eastern Shore, and most of our MBA offices are fairly responsive on testing. And I'm just trying to understand the problem in Howard and Montgomery. Has this been a problem that arose during COVID that hasn't improved, or has there been improvements? I'm just trying to understand what the backlog is, or whatever.
Was meant to be a statewide bill. And
Yeah,
Howard and
I know
Montgomery,
that.
the pilot, I'm not sure exactly why JPR put in that would be those would be the places of the pilot, other than perhaps that, Senator Gazzoni, we don't have one in Howard County at this point, but I don't know particularly why they chose those. I'm not sure if Chip and Jason, as part of that, had heard part of that.
I was not privy to why those 2 counties, other than our county is not having a facility at all. And
Right.
Parents have to with outside the county.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, next question goes to Delegate Foley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So you did say that, and that was my recollection, by the way, that the delegations from Montgomery, anyway, I can speak to, that the delegations you do not have a letter from the delegations on this. I just wonder why. I mean, my question is along the line of Delegate Jacobs, but who in Montgomery County requested this?
It wasn't, it's just a pilot program for the state. It's not that it was specifically requested for Montgomery County.
So it wasn't specifically requested for Montgomery County. That's what you just said, right?
As far as I know, unless it was, it was JPR, Chairman Will Smith. I don't know if that somehow got, through there, but I don't know exactly what happened in their negotiations for adding that amendment.
Because this is the first that I've heard of it, being a delegate from Montgomery County. And I just wondered if there was any kind of, push or any, as far as there was nothing that came from the county itself. Is that correct?
No, because it wasn't meant to be a county bill. It's a pilot for the state.
Yeah. And so why Montgomery and Howard? Do you know the answer?
You would have to ask JPR, but I know Howard was probably because in our testimony, we did say that Howard specifically did not have a location to do this. I'm not sure why Montgomery was the other one, I must admit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it troubles me that, that this is being foisted on my county, and we didn't hear anything about it. So anyway, thank you.
Delegate Weigel is next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are there counties other than Howard that don't have testing facilities that you're aware of?
Chip, do you know that off the hand?
I do not. Jason, I think you might have that statistic. I don't mean to put you on point.
I believe going through the MVA's website, it said there were 6 counties without a testing center.
So if Montgomery is not interested, why wouldn't you pick one of those counties that doesn't have a testing site as a pilot? I know it's a statewide bill, but as a pilot.
We would not be adverse to that.
I'm sorry, what, Deanna?
I do not believe we would be adverse to that,
To finding out?
or to changing it to a different county, or like I said, I'd like to find out more why they chose that county. So,
So using a county that doesn't have a testing facility in addition to Howard.
and
You
it
said
may
there
be
were
too
6
that
others.
there are counties that it takes longer to get to a testing facility. I'm not sure about that, but.
Okay, thank you.
Next question goes to Delegate Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Calvert County doesn't have a testing site. And from most of the county, it's probably a good 30-minute ride or better over to Leonardtown or Loveville, where there is a testing site in St. Mary's. And the same would have to be to go up into Waldorf. So wouldn't you say Calvert County would probably be very receptive to being part of the pilot program? I can pretty much guarantee you. Wouldn't you say?
Well, it looks like there's a big mystery as to why Montgomery County was included.
Well, I'm volunteering.
There we
okay.
go.
That sounds good.
Well, so duly noted, Delegate Clark.
We noted.
Okay, Delegate Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, this is for, whoever can answer it. I see that there are some requirements in the bill to make sure that basically any individual who participates in the pilot program, basically has a valid driver's license, hasn't been convicted of driving offenses. Is there any sort of criminal background check here to make sure that folks who are teaching these tests don't have some sort of history of, sexual assault or, in sort of, impropriety with minors?
I can speak to that. As an advanced instructor for the state, which I teach other driving schools, as soon as you're a candidate, one of the first things you have to do is get fingerprinted by the MVA. And we would be using the same guidelines and rules. They do a background every 2 years as well. And I believe it's updated by fingerprints.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Delegate Sarah Love is next.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to pipe up as another delegate from Montgomery County. Unless and until we know that our county doesn't want to be in there, I would rather we not be taken out, since the chair and the vice chair from JPR are both from Montgomery County. So isn't that so?
It appears to be, yes.
Thank you.
All right. I'm just happy it wasn't a question about cameras or fingerprints or something. Okay, DFH.
Thank you. So in the form of a question, isn't that so that it would be a good idea to reach out to Montgomery County to see what their official position is?
Yes.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, I've done that and I'm waiting to hear back. So, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty then. So any further harassment of Deanna Peel? Apparently not. Okay, Deanna, always great to see you. We will get to the bottom of this Montgomery County assignment mystery. Collectively, we'll do that. So that ends the, nobody signed up in opposition. So that, well, let me make, nobody's in opposition. So thank you very much. That ends the public hearing on Senate Bill 599. Let's go to Senate Bill 630. Senator Hester.
Hello, Chair.
Hi.
Chair. I am from Howard County and I have nothing to do with Montgomery County legislation, just for the record.
Well, I mean, now you're starting to hurt my feelings.
Well, no, I just want you guys to go easy on me.
Not yet, Senator Hester.
Okay. So for the record, Senator Katie Fry Hester here to present Senate Bill 630, the Office of Resilience, which passed the Senate unanimously. It is almost identical to HB 706, which the Speaker Pro Tem presented to your committee in February. I'd like to start by thanking this committee for your strong support of Climate Solutions Now, which you heard early, which you talked about at length today on the floor. And this bill takes, in addition to looking at how we reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, this bill, as I'll just refresh your memory, establishes an Office of Resilience led by the Chief Resilience Officer in the Department of Emergency Management to coordinate our federal and state resilience programs. And it will really help to prioritize vulnerable communities, particularly those affected by flooding in both urban and rural areas. and help our local jurisdictions conduct outreach for federal grants. Our state is projected to face up to $19 billion worth of damage due to sea level rise and flooding. And there was an article, I don't know if you can see this on Zoom, but front page of the Baltimore Sun on Sunday talked about areas that flood again and again and again. And the flood insurance premiums in several places have more than tripled in recent years. And we know how to fix this. And we also know that for every $1 invested in flood prevention, we can save $6 of destruction. Now, I understand that there was some concern about the fiscal note when this bill was heard the first time, and we've addressed that in the Senate version. So the amendments that happened in the Senate reduced the fiscal note by at least 30% to $770,000 a year. And I actually believe the true cost of this bill is only going to be $600,000 a year, and here's why. When we spoke to the University of Maryland, the Center for the Environment, they said they were already doing what is requested in the bill, and thus the 1.5 staff that is listed in the fiscal note they won't need. Another example is that the Department of Emergency Management should be able to cover some of their costs with the administrative reimbursement from the revolving Maryland Loan Fund, which we passed last year. And finally, the report calls for a statewide report on resilience, and this will give the governor and the General Assembly like an annual report to see how we're doing and whether this office is actually bringing down federal money. So fundamentally, I would advocate that the Office of Resilience is an incredibly wise investment. For $600,000 annually, we could potentially avoid $19 billion worth of destruction by bringing down federal funds to support us more. The office will establish a more efficient, more accountable process for saving lives, reducing hazards, and increasing those federal funds. There are 14 other states that have adopted this critical office, including our neighbors in New Jersey, Virginia, and North Carolina. And your office should have received an email earlier today with a report that articulates what all these states are doing and how we can join those ranks. And for these reasons, I respectfully request a favorable committee report on Senate Bill 630. Thank you.
Before I recognize Delegate Weigel, Senator, I have to tell you, you need to check out the floor debate for the Climate Solutions Bill. There was one legislator who actually offered the opinion that the reason the water levels were rising was because the mountains and the land were sinking. And so you might want to check that out.
I mean, the icebergs are melting.
Yeah, no, none of that. It was that the land was sinking.
Oh,
Anyway,
goodness.
okay,
Well,
but
this bill can't fix that problem.
right, yeah, absolutely. Okay, Delegate Weigel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's all about the science. It's all about.
That's right.
Hey, Senator, just a question. I thought I heard you say someone was already doing the requirements, meeting the requirements that are mandated in the bill. So I was wondering if the bill is still necessary.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear the question.
I thought I had heard you say there was an agency that's already performing the requirements of the bill.
So, as originally drafted, the bill had several agencies supporting the new Office of Resilience. All of the extra agencies were cut out because so we focused just on MDEM. The one group that wasn't cut out was the University of Maryland Center for the Environment. And so it still instructs them to come up with baseline indicators and to help with a report so that we can track our progress towards resiliency. They are currently doing what's already in the report. If you felt it necessary to amend them out, I mean, that would be okay with me, but they're already doing what's in the report. And it's actually, frankly, because we put this bill in 2 years ago and they thought it was a good idea, so they stepped forward and volunteered to do it.
So is the bill still necessary, I guess is my question.
Absolutely, because most of the cost of the bill is to expand the Office of Resiliency. In the fiscal note, hold on, I'm trying to find it talks about 6.5 staff to be added to the Maryland Department of Emergency Management. Now, I don't think it's quite 6.5 staff, but that is not out of sync with what other states have done. I'm just looking for my my chart, which I think is here, but I can tell you that in Colorado, there's 4 staff plus a director. In New Jersey, there's 7 staff. In North Carolina, there's a chief, 2 deputy officers, and 15 staff. So I would say that by adding less than 6.5 staff, we are certainly starting in a very good place. And yes, the bill is absolutely necessary for that point. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
You good, Will? Okay, Delegate Siliberti is next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick footnote. I wouldn't go too far out on this global warming limb, because just as many Scientologists say it doesn't exist, that say it do exist. These are Scientologists, okay? And by the same token, while the ice is shrinking a tad up north, it's growing exponentially in the south. So be careful of the limb. Amen.
You might want to communicate that to the delegate from Baltimore County.
I shall.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise.
Okay, no need to answer that, Senator. Any other questions for the senator? It was a sponsor-only bill. There was no opposition. And thank you so much for visiting the Environment and Transportation Committee.
Thank you guys for going easy on me. Take care.
Okay, yeah, we were real softies today. Okay, that ends the public hearing for Senate Bill 630, and it ends the public hearing for this afternoon. And Trish, how much time do you need to organize the live voting session?
Oh, just as much time as they need to get here, and we'll be ready.
Okay, great. Well, get off the TV and get down to the committee. We'll see you soon. Take care.